I walked out of the airport when I saw my husband's mom standing there with her luggage. My husband Jake and I had been planning this trip to Hawaii for months. It was our 5th wedding anniversary, and we desperately needed some alone time. Between his crazy work schedule and my job at the hospital, we barely saw each other anymore. We saved up for 8 months to afford this fancy resort in Maui. I bought new swimsuits, Jake got us couples massage appointments, and we even splurged on that overwater bungalow I'd been dreaming about since we got married. The morning of our flight, I was so excited I could barely sleep. We got to the airport 2 hours early because I'm paranoid about missing flights. Jake went to grab us coffee while I waited with our bags at the check-in counter. That's when I saw her. His mom Linda was standing by the departure gate with 2 giant suitcases and a carry-on bag, wearing this huge floppy sun hat like she was ready for vacation too. My stomach dropped. I called Jake immediately. "Why is your mother at the airport?" I asked when he picked up. There was this long pause, then he said, "Oh yeah, I meant to tell you about that. Mom really wanted to see Hawaii, and she offered to help pay for the trip if we let her come along." I felt my blood pressure spike. "You invited your mother on our anniversary trip without asking me?" He got all defensive and said, "She's been really lonely since Dad died, and she's never been to Hawaii. I thought it would be nice." I told him I was going home and hung up. I grabbed my suitcase and walked straight to the exit while Jake was still in line at Starbucks. By the time I got to my car, my phone was blowing up with calls and texts. Jake was freaking out asking where I was. Linda had apparently figured out something was wrong and was calling too, asking if I was sick. I drove home, unpacked my bag, and turned off my phone. 3 hours later, Jake showed up at our house looking panicked. He said they'd missed the flight because they spent an hour looking for me. "Where were you?" he demanded. "Linda was crying at the gate thinking something terrible happened to you." I looked at him like he'd lost his mind. "I left because you turned our romantic anniversary trip into a family vacation without telling me." That's when he tried to make me feel guilty. He said his mom had already paid for part of the resort and that I was being selfish. He claimed I was overreacting and that lots of couples travel with their parents. I told him that was fine, but I wouldn't be one of those couples. If he wanted to vacation with his mommy, he was welcome to do it without me. Jake got mad and said I was being immature. He said Linda was just trying to bond with me and that I should be grateful she wanted to spend time with us. I laughed and asked him how sharing our anniversary dinner and couples massage with his mother was supposed to be romantic. He didn't have an answer for that. The next morning, Linda called me crying. She said she didn't know it was supposed to be just us and that Jake told her I'd invited her. She admitted she'd been hoping to find a nice man to date in Hawaii and thought it would be fun to have wing people. That's when I realized Jake had lied to both of us. He told me his mom needed the trip because she was lonely, and he told her that I wanted her to come along. Linda was mortified when she figured out what happened. She said she never would have come if she'd known it was our anniversary trip. She actually offered to pay me back for the resort since she'd ruined our plans. I ended up really liking Linda after that conversation. We bonded over how sneaky Jake had been, and she told me stories about how he used to manipulate situations as a kid to avoid getting in trouble. Jake and I rescheduled our anniversary trip for the next month, and this time I booked everything myself. Linda went on a singles cruise to the Caribbean instead, and actually met a really nice retired teacher named Frank. Jake learned that surprising me with uninvited guests was not the way to make me happy.